Watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
And welcome back to This Week in Jacksonville. A new poll from the University of North Florida shows Marco Rubio holding a strong lead in the Senate race. That poll from the Public Opinion Research Lab has Rubio with 47%, Democrat Patrick Murphy's 41%, and 10% still undecided. We're going to talk about that more in a moment. But when asked about Constitutional Amendment 2, which allows the medical use of marijuana, among the overwhelming majority of likely Florida voters, 77% say they would vote for the amendment. Only 18% say they would vote against it. So that research coming out of the University of North Florida and the Public Opinion Research Laboratory, Dr. Mike Binder in charge there. Tell me about these polls and what you found interesting specifically when we talk about that Senate race.
Well, the Senate race is fascinating. Rubio's ahead, a handful of points or so, which tracks with several other polls that have come out recently. But I think the really interesting thing is from Patrick Murphy's viewpoint. If you looked at the folks, we asked them if they view them favorably or unfavorably. Both candidates had net positives for favorability, which is different than our presidential candidates.
Yeah, very different.
But Patrick Murphy, 21% of the people said they didn't know him. They hadn't heard enough about him to even make a judgment, which is Rubio was less than 2%. So there are large segments of the population in Florida that really aren't aware of who this guy is, and he's running for Senate. And that doesn't bode well when you're 3.5 weeks out.
That's a steep climb for a candidate almost at any point in their candidacy. But that also goes to the point of being the incumbent. You've got name recognition. That's the case for Marco Rubio.
Absolutely. Being the incumbent, but also having run for president and making it to the final three in what was the most watched presidential primary season in history. So that built up his name recognition as well. And I think this is something that's going to play out across other races here in Florida, but also nationally. When you have a challenger who's struggling with name recognition, it's going to be a tougher bar for them this cycle because Clinton and Trump have taken so much air out of the room. If we're talking about politics, we're talking about those two, for good or for bad. And because of that, those down ballot races are struggling.
Well, we always see it down the ballot. They always try to tie their opponent to whoever's running at that higher office. When you talk about the unfavorability in the presidential campaign, does this help or hurt one of these candidates in the Senate race to be tied either to Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton?
Well, I don't think being tied to either one of them is necessarily a good thing. Both of their unfavorables are net negatives. Republicans have been running away from Trump lately. The voters are not, though. Robert, the poll that we released last week on the presidential race, 80% of Republicans, almost 80%, indicated they were going to vote for Trump. But it's the NPAs and the Democrats, which is where Rubio is doing well, that could scare off some potential voters if he gets tied too closely to Trump.
I want to talk about Amendment 2. This is something we saw a couple of years ago. An amendment to allow the use of medical marijuana in the state of Florida. Last time, it crested 50%, but it didn't approach the 60%, which is what's crucial, what's needed when it comes to changing an amendment in the state of Ohio. The polling here is a lot different, 77% in favor.
Yeah, so Florida's tough, right? That 60% bar, it's higher than most other states. We got to 58 in 2014. There was a last-minute no effort that kind of reached out and then probably swung it. This time, that no effort isn't getting the same amount of resources they got in 2014, and they went back and they tweaked some of the language to clean up some of the concerns that the opponents had. So it's looking like this thing is probably going to pass.
Is it a change in voter opinions, or is it the change of that monetary support in the no, vote against this?
I think it's a couple of things. I think some of it might be a voter opinion thing. From this perspective, the state legislature has seen a mandate that the voters in Florida want this to happen. And they've really botched it over the last 2 years. They passed the one oil, but they haven't been able to actually put the regulations in place to actually grow and sell the stuff yet. And I think voters are a little frustrated by that. But I also think the lack of an opposition campaign is hurting as well.
Well, it seems to me that the last 2 years, the campaign vote yes on this has continued.
They've been working since day one.
John Morgan's and the other groups that are saying they're for it. I want to talk also about a House race here, Congressional District 13. It's not in Jacksonville, but it's interesting, and I think you'll recognize this. David Jolly, kind of the incumbent over there in Pinellas County, right? Yep. And Charlie Crist, the former governor, the former gubernatorial candidate, the former senator candidate, the Always the candidate, Charlie Crist, right?
Yes. It's funny, we talked about him after he lost in 2014. I remember on your show, what's in his future? I'm like, this has to be the end for him. And I was like, you never know, he might run for mayor. I was half joking. Here he is running for the House. And the poll that we came out with had him up 54 to 36, which is different. Some other polls had him closer. But this was one of the more watched House races in the country because it's an opportunity for Democrats to pick up a gain. Crist is still running as a Democrat. With the way the district was redrawn, David Jolly, not even a full-term incumbent, is facing a little bit of an uphill climb.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the numbers there that Crist has grabbed some of those Republican voters, and obviously we'll see what happens in the 3 more weeks when we get to November 8th. But I want to keep talking, and what we're going to do when we come back, we're digging deeper into the chaos that seems to be the presidential campaigns. Dr. Binder's analysis next on This Week in Jacksonville.
Introducing Golden Corral's 7-day brunch every day at 9:30 a.m. Enjoy classic brunch favorites like chicken and waffles, Monte Cristo sandwiches, made-to-order omelets, crispy bacon, and your lunch favorites. Your day just got a whole lot tastier, only at Golden Corral.
In the upcoming election, there's something we can all agree on. A yes vote on County Referendum 1. Voting yes will create more good jobs and give Jacksonville more money for public safety, better roads, and after-school programs. The referendum allows adding slot machines where gaming entertainment already exists for adults in Jacksonville's only state-licensed parimutuel and nowhere else. Vote yes for more jobs. Vote yes for a better future. Vote yes on County Referendum 1.
Focus. It's what Baptist and MD Anderson Cancer Center do every day. And our focus is on one thing, the fight to end cancer. Here, teams of cancer specialists use their combined experience with the latest research and technology. Our partnership brings the #1 cancer center in America close to home. At Baptist MD Anderson, we share a singular focus, making cancer history.
You may be surprised to learn that you do not owe us a fee unless we win at trial or are able to obtain a fair settlement for you. So if you've been injured in an accident, hurt on the job, or the victim of medical malpractice, you don't owe us a fee unless we win your case. And your initial office visit with us is absolutely free. My family has represented you and your families for almost 30 years now. Today, we are honored to help you when you need us most. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
There's no place like Jacksonville. I grew up here, I raised my kids here, and now I'm looking after my folks here. And well, I could use a hand.
Hey, we hear you. It's why AARP is supporting family caregivers like you with free tools and resources. And since caregivers need care too, we're connecting with you at fun, free events like movie screenings. If you don't think this is right for me, when you think AARP, then you don't know art. Get to know us at aarp.org/Jacksonville.
I'm no marketing guru, but this guy is.
He's from Madison Avenue. He likes to say things like,
raised without antibiotics. That's a phrase he invented to make chickens sound safer. And it doesn't mean much because by federal law, all chickens must be clear of antibiotics before they leave the farm.
I got more. Mom approved. Caffeine free.
We think Mr. Marketing Guru would fit in better at a different chicken company.
Ooh, I got it. Gluten free. All chicken's gluten free. I don't think that's... Okay, no it is.
Fresh, delicious chicken from Sanderson Farms. How to drive smarter.
Jammed right here.
Nothing's more frustrating than being caught in a traffic jam. But there are things you can do to avoid gridlock. Watch the next Inside Edition.
Monday at 7:30 on Channel 4.
Thanks for staying with us on This Week in Jacksonville. Dr. Michael Binder from UNF, the Public Opinion Research Laboratory Director. So when you do polling, you get a sample of opinions. Tell me some of your opinions here on the presidential race, because there's so much chaos going on, and it seems like at least one of the candidates loves that.
This is an election unlike any other that we've seen. It's really unbelievable. Both candidates have negatives as far as the favorability, unfavorability. Here in Florida, we had a poll last week. Great timing. We released it on Thursday, so I'm sure everybody in Jacksonville was paying close attention.
Right. But look, there's a poll. I mean, a hurricane.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
A poll. Right.
And which is interesting because I think that affected Florida and how Florida viewed the Trump's tapes that came out on Friday of last week. We didn't really see it or hear about it until the debate on Sunday. So I think that's a fascinating aspect of what the hurricane did. But also, this election has been so polarizing. And there's so much hard feelings on both sides. And we look around, and every poll you see, there's these undecided voters. And you look at yourself, and you're like, how can anybody be undecided in this race? Well, what we looked at was the folks that have unfavorables of both Clinton and Trump, which was about 20% of the electorate here in Florida. Those folks, 27% of them are still undecided. Those are the ones, the people that look at them both and say, I don't like either of these people. What do I do? That's where the indecision's really lying.
Yeah, so we've got the final debate, the third debate coming up on the 19th here. Does that make a difference? A lot of people just watch for the spectacle of it all. Does it help them make a decision when they watch these debates?
The vast majority have made up their mind months ago, and nothing that could happen will really change that. I think what that does is folks that are on the edge, maybe they're a Republican, maybe they're a Democrat, but they're not Trump fans or Hillary fans. They'll look to this last debate and say, can I live with Trump being president? Can he be presidential? Is Hillary transparent enough? Do I trust her to make the right decision in the future? And I think that's where the action's made. And then the folks that, believe it or not, there's some that aren't paying attention, that maybe you're just starting to tune in. I know that's crazy to think about.
Sounds
but
unlikely.
Right, but there are some folks out there that are doing that. And yes, do I think it changes a lot of minds? No, but it might change a few.
I want to talk a little bit about what's happened here in our region of Florida since Hurricane Matthew. We saw Governor Scott spending a lot of time here, specifically with Mayor Lenny Curry, here on a helicopter assessing damage on that Saturday after the hurricane hit on Friday. Also saw the CFO of the state, Jeff Atwater, making his way up the coast. And is there a political aspect to this? I know what these gentlemen are saying is, hey, as leaders, we want to be here. We want to restore power. We want to make sure people are safe and rebuild. What happens politically because of a disaster like this and the response you see from Rick Scott, Lenny Curry, Jeff Atwater, et cetera?
I think there's two things happening. One, right, they're elected officials. That's their job. That's what they're supposed to do. In times of crisis, we look to our elected officials to help us, to restore power or to maybe make things easier when it comes to extending voter deadlines, or if it comes to dealing with insurance companies, or maybe pressuring Verizon to allow for unlimited data when power's out. Those types of things are certainly very important, and that's not political. That's their job. And they've all been upfront doing that sort of thing. But there is a political aspect to this, and it shouldn't be overlooked. Now, in this circumstance, they're all Republicans, so there might not be long-term damage, but if you think back to Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey, when Chris Christie was seen hugging Barack Obama when President Obama went up after Sandy, that came back to haunt him politically, particularly in the primary. These folks are all on the same team, so I wouldn't expect that, but having that working relationship with Mayor Curry and the governor is certainly going to help for relief funds, and our city needs it, particularly if you look out toward the beaches. Forget about what happened down in St. Johns County and St. Augustine. They're in some dire conditions down there. So yes, that absolutely, it's part their job, but it's also part political.
So as a politician, not just a leader, you kind of have to weed through, well, is this the right time to do something across the aisle and bipartisan? I think of Marco Rubio and Bill Nelson, the two senators from Florida. They've said in the last couple of months, hey, we worked together on this situation with HUD and what's happened at apartment complex like Eureka Gardens. They say, hey, we worked together. That's not that risky for a politician, right?
Right, it's not. Partially because neither Bill Nelson or Marco Rubio are the most polarizing of candidates either. They don't engender hatred from the other side like somebody maybe like a Barack Obama or a Donald Trump might. But also, these are real issues where you're saying, there's a problem in my community, I need to work to solve it.
Doesn't matter if your tie is red or blue.
Red,
it's
blue,
the problem.
or gray.
We're going to work to solve this. I appreciate that. Before we go, it sounds like most of the local races in Northeast Florida, they were decided back on August 30th.
Unfortunately, it really is. CD4 is a heavily Republican district. Rutherford's going to win that race going away, even though Bruderly is, mounting a little campaign there. Even CD5, Al Lawson's going to, Glo Smith ran a couple years ago. There's just too many Democrats for her to make any effort there. And even the local races, the state House races and the state Senate races, outside that one local House race, it's early going to be decided.
Right, and by that you mean the former Reggie Fullwood.
The Fullwood district, yeah.
We'll be watching, and I know you'll be watching. I appreciate it. I know you got some more polling we're going to do before the general election comes up in November 8th. So, Dr. Michael Bender from UNF, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Kent.
This Week in Jacksonville airs each Sunday morning at this time. Marco Rubio, Patrick Murphy, we've been talking about them. They both join us next week as we dive deep into the race for Senator from Florida. You're not going to want to miss that. Again, that's next Sunday. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching. You always catch past episodes on news4jax.com.
News 4 Jax, we're always covering the news, even when we're not on TV. Stay informed, on the go, and online at news4jax.com.